Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Part 2 of episode 105 is brought to you by our Patreon supporters. Support the show at patreon.com/thewilderness podcast. Our supporter of the week is Dean Humphreys. We are also brought to you by Audible. Get a free month and a free audiobook at audibletrial.com/wild. Welcome back to the second part of episode 105 of the Wilderness Podcast. I'm your host, Dills, and with me is Deegan.
Hey, how's it going?
So continuing where we left off, we're going to continue through the stuff they announced at Runefest.
Yeah.
Just pretty weird that we're doing a two-parter, but as we started going through, we noticed it was a bit longer, and since just our schedule this week was so messed up because of those events I had mentioned, we felt this way we could... It's going to be a bit weird, but everything's going to come out. You'll get 2 episodes. Anyways, doesn't matter. Point is, we're continuing with our Runefest stuff, and yeah, there is still a lot more to talk about.
Yeah, so last episode, we finished with the Cabos Lowlands and everything related, like the farming guild.
Yeah, everything involved
aerial
with that.
Fishing.
Brimstone.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of good stuff, which means we still have to talk about a new quest, a new skill, some PvP stuff, some drama, and maybe more. Anyways, Deegan, have you done anything in the past 16 hours?
I think we should just skip over that and just
Yeah, good call. All right, so let's just move on to our news.
All right, so we're going to continue off with the next reveal, which is Song of Elves, which technically is the first end of a quest line.
That's what they're hyping it up to be, because they were talking about in the reveal that every great story, of course you're probably going to know, has a beginning, a middle, and an end. But what we don't usually see in old school RuneScape, especially with the quest lines, never really that much of an end. Everything's kind of left open. So this is going to be one of the first quests that kind of actually closes one of the big stories. And the elf story itself, quite a big story, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Begins with what? Plague City?
Yep. Plague City, then goes into Biohazard, into Underground Pass, into Regicide, to Morning's End Part 1, Morning's End Part 2, and now it will finish with Song of the Elves. It's quite a long quest line, and most people just kind of do the quests randomly, you know what I mean? No one does Plague City, Biohazard, Underground Pass, you know what I mean? I don't think people in general do that, but...
It's because no one really follows the story, so they're not doing Plague City, and they're going, I want to know what happens next.
Yeah.
So they continue on. Most people are just okay, I did Plague City, I guess I have to do Biohazard now, because now it unlocks this part that I can finally do, and then Underground Pass, because I need Iban's staff.
Yep. I mean, I don't know if you want to, read... That's all lore and how the quest lines interact. I don't know if you want to read that out.
All right, I'll go through a little lore here. The Fabled Elf series begins with Plague City, where the player character discovers the whole west side of Ardone has been locked under quarantine by mysterious figures known as the Mourners. After breaking into the city and rescuing Elena during Biohazard, she gives you some plague samples to have tested by a chemist. Upon completing this task, you discover the plague is a hoax and confront King Lathis, who admits to fabricating this lie. He claims this was all done to protect his people from his evil brother, King Tyrus, who has been corrupted by a mysterious Dark Lord. You undertake the task of freeing the passage to the Elven lands with the goal of facing King Tyrus in Underground Pass, defeating Iban along the way. In Regicide, you make your way through the pass into the Elven lands and assassinate King Tyrus with the help of Lord Ioworth. King Lathis Alley. On your way to deliver the news to King Lathis, you are incepted by Iranwin, who reveals that it is in fact Ioworth and Lathis serving the Dark Lord, and they are plotting to reclaim Camelot. In Morning's End Part 1, you gain access to Lilietta, the rebel elves hideout, and you meet Arianwyn. After discovering that the mourners are elves from the capital city, you decide to infiltrate Mourner HQ. There you learn from the head mourner that their real goal is to keep people believing in the plague. Their plan is to use the victims as slaves, to dig through a temple with the goal of resurrecting the Dark Lord. Through Morning's End Part 2, travel to the Temple of Light and navigate your way through by solving intricate security systems, using mirrors, and discover the Death Altar at its end. Using a charged crystal, repaired for you by Elund, you activate the large crystal at the temple entrance, sealing it for another 1,000 years. Now, it is time to join Elena and her allies in exposing the plague hoax and starting a revolution against King Lathis and Lord Isleworth in Song of the Elves. The Old School team presents the newest Grandmaster Quest, completing the game's first ever storyline.
Yeah.
God, a handful of words there.
Yep, just a little bit. So, with that being said, after completing this quest line, Prifdinus...
Whoa. Spoilers.
Well, Prifdinus will be in the game. Those Crystal City gates will finally be open to you, which is pretty dope. They added the space for it, I guess. They added the area 14 years ago. And now they're finally going to be able to put the city in.
I mean, we're all aware of that mysterious gate. We've all discovered that when we were younger, or even today. You see this gate closed off and it's just sealed. You can't get in. You look on the map though, and it's a giant city, isn't it?
Yeah. So one of the many things that they'll be adding with this major city is something called the Gauntlet. And it's a brand new challenge. It's a pretty cool idea. You pretty much enter the arena or the Gauntlet and you don't bring any items. You start off with nothing. And you face off against crystalline versions of monsters. You collect resources and you make weapons or collect weapons and armor as you go through it. And there's a limited amount of time that you can actually, gather resources.
So you might not, let's say you have to create weapons. You might not have time to create a full set. You need to choose, what do I need? What can I make right now? Maybe I'll just make a plate body. And you're going to have to leave the rest of it, right?
Yeah, you might get fucked if you have no weapon though. But I feel like it's gonna be you're gonna have a last man standing type feel where there's chests and then you have to run around and do stuff. There's gonna be some skilling, maybe you get a pickaxe. You gotta mine a crystal shard thingy, and you can make a cool crystal weapon thingy. I'm gonna say thingy a lot because it's not super specific of what it is.
They say they're keeping it somewhat vague because there's gonna be more coming out with it. Of course,
it's just a reveal of an idea that they're gonna implement.
It's an idea,
they'd like to.
And they're waiting for feedback and of course suggestions.
Mm-hmm. I got hundreds of those, and yeah, so pretty much you'll be facing monsters, collecting resources, weapons, and armors, potentially crafting. With a limited amount of time before you engage combat, and an all new big old boss to face, and it's expected to be one of the toughest Old School's ever seen. Probably not harder than the Inferno, but maybe up there, or maybe just as difficult but in a different way. Instead of prey flicking for 2 hours straight, it's now strategy of you want to do this because you have these types of a skill level, or maybe you're just, you have a higher range level, and you're hey, I gotta focus on getting range gear. Or maybe there's more of a meta where, these monsters are gonna be spawning, I need to get, ranged protection type gear. And,
I do like the idea of some more endgame content, and from what they're saying, as you said, it's gonna be a different dynamic. There's different factors in. With the Inferno, it's tough, but
the entry to do Inferno for the, average person on their main is a lot of money.
That's the thing. You can go in there with the best gear. Whereas this, you might be stuck with full rune. So maybe the monster itself isn't going to be as strong as, what's Zuck?
Yeah.
It won't be as strong as Zuck. But because you have such shitty gear, maybe you don't have good food. Maybe you're so strapped on time that if you don't kill a monster quick enough, more monsters are going to spawn.
Yeah.
That could be the new challenge here, which is cool.
Yep. So I think, it would be pretty interesting if they had whole new like weapons and armors that are unique to just this gauntlet, similar to how raids are in the sense of like you fish up food that you never see, you know, there's the Darkwing Bats, like some stuff like that, where it's more of like an elvish type thing where like there's like a lot of like crystal based items, you know, pretty interesting things. It'd be cool to like somehow, you know, you make traps and you can like fortify like some sort of area where you want to fight them, you know, like where it's kind of like instead of you just fight them in like a coliseum or like in a just a boring zone, like maybe something that you enter, like, because if you have limited time to gather equipment before you engage in combat, like you have to be interacting with the environment somehow.
Possibly, unless you kill it and there's like a giant pile of loot.
But like that's dumb. We like old school always seems to impress us, like Theater of Blood and all that. Like, you know, like they
especially nowadays where they're starting to think more outside of the box.
Yeah. So I would personally like to see from this gauntlet you interacting more with the environment to make a favorable battle, because you're also limiting yourself on gear and food. Like maybe it's all about like you want to get the best food and then, you know, kind of like brute force your way through the fight. Like you're just like, you know what I mean? Let's say you get an equivalent of like getting a bunch of brews and restores, but maybe someone else wants to get the best gear, or maybe someone else wants to like, you know, construct some things, repair some, do whatever to like create a favorable environment that they could like, you know, like pillars to hide behind, something in Inferno.
Maybe.
You know, where you could like, where there's different aspects to do the gauntlet. So like it would be more fluid, or like more,
it's more strategy involved.
There's more of a dynamic instead of just like a meta that gets set in stone. You know what I mean? Like if you think about someone doing the Inferno, it's like, okay, they're probably going to be a full Justicar, might have a T-Bow or an ACB and an LE. You know what I mean? Like you kind of have an idea of like you're just going to bring in really good gear and like fuck some shit up.
Well, this gives them a lot of creative control on what they're going to do with it, because now they don't have to worry about they don't have to tune the monsters around the gear we have in game.
Exactly.
So
yeah, it's not like this guy has one magic because of a T-Bow.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, they'll be able to create fights as they want without worrying about weird mechanics that they've already implemented. Anyways, do you have any like suggestions, anything that you would like to see out of this gauntlet?
This isn't like a suggestion for the gauntlet, 'cause I don't think it would happen. But what I think old school RuneScape is lacking is it's always a big monster. So it's not going to work because these are all crystallized monsters. But what I would like to see is some sort of boss or some sort of arena or some sort of raid, something PVM related though, where the last boss was like a person like you, but maybe not just one. It could be like 3 people you have to face, and they're just super strong. Like one thing I always thought was cool in World of Warcraft back in Burning Crusade. So the last temple, the Black Temple, the last raid, you get to a room we have to fight like a boss basically, but it's basically like a council of people you have to fight, and there's like 8 of them. But I always thought that was kind of cool because you're so used to fighting these big monsters that's just like, it'd be neat to fight someone who's basically similar to you, but they're just some adventurer, or there's some warrior who's just a well-seasoned veteran.
So maybe something similar to Fable and Lost Chapters, where you do the arena, and at the end, you have to fight the other person in the, you know?
Yeah.
If you ever played Fable, you're like fighting all the monsters and stuff, but the actual end is that the partner you're doing the arena with, you have to fight them. Or you're fighting like a person.
That's cool.
As strong, not like a real person, but like an NPC that's like just as strong as you type thing.
Could be someone who's like the king of the gauntlet, like the last warrior who beat it. He walks out.
Wooks, you're fucked.
Yeah, good game. But maybe he walks out with some like crystal lance or something, and he's like, and now you got to fight him 1-on-1. But this guy's gonna fuck you up.
Yeah. But yeah, pretty interesting. We still have a lot more to talk about. So you want to move on to the next thing?
Let's do it.
They also would like to add a skilling boss within the city. So Wintertodt is the first skilling boss, but it's very different, I guess. This one, they want it to be more true. So like I say that's a really bad way to explain it, but you do Wintertodt, which is technically a boss, but you're doing it for experience.
Yeah.
The loot is just like something like, whatever. Get a pet, get cool armor. But this new skilling boss they want to add, you'll get cool loot, and you don't really get experience. So it's like more like of an actual boss, not just like a training method that just they call a boss to make it different.
So that's kind of neat.
Yeah, so the basics, the cliff notes that they leave us is the skilling boss is too powerful for a normal weapon, so use of multiple skills with a focus on the mining skill to create explosives which damage the boss. Unlike Wintertodt, this boss, expect this boss to deal damage to you directly rather than just through the environment, which means you can probably more reliably avoid damage. Yeah. You know how Wintertodt is very RNG. Sometimes you get hit 8 times in a row and you're just like, I hate this.
The fire pit breaks and you get hit for a 20.
Yeah. And for successfully defeating this boss, you'd be rewarded with mining experience and a shot at brand new uniques and a focus on items rather than experience. So,
and you skipped mining resources. You'll be rewarded with.
Yeah. And so I think the main reason why they're going to say like focus on item rewards, 'cause they don't want mining Todd. Like people were we called
the volcanic.
Yeah, the volcanic mining Todd, but like it's good experience, but it doesn't trump other rates.
It's not as fun.
And yeah, so this one will be just more about the items and uniques and
when are we going to get agility Todd?
Well, we'll talk about that in a little bit.
What?
Next thing up, agility Todd. No, I'm kidding. So for some of the uniques they want to implement is crystal armor. I'm going to be honest, this is obviously just concept art, but it doesn't really look that good.
It could look better, I agree.
It could look better. It's weird, they have like a vagina-esque thing.
I was going to say, I like the crotch plate.
Yeah. Notice the boots. That's all I'm saying. He's wearing Guardian boots in this concept art, which means possible tank armor. Like, Crystal Shield is known to have really good range defense.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I think of when I see crystal armor, right? I think of it as like being pretty agile to use, but also being very strong.
Yeah. So this is like, you would get this from within Prifddinas, and there's also like,
surprised
other items.
I'm surprised they're not tying this armor to like one of the bosses.
I think they will. I don't think you can just outright buy it or use seeds. I think I have a feeling that these might be linked to Mining Todd or something. They do say that the new set is expected to like match a Crystal Shield and be similar in strength to Barrows, so just a lot of range defense.
Interesting.
A lot of range defense, probably super heavy as well.
That's about it for that. Can I say one of my disappointments?
Well, there's a bit more. There are things within the town, so they do want to add an agility method.
Ooh, okay.
So probably a new tabletop or table. Or why did I say table? A parkour. Rooftop. Yeah.
Good.
Looks like they have a house portal here, and then they have like 2 dungeons as well, or 3. Sorry, 3 like underground dungeon entrances.
Actually, 4.
Okay. Yeah. Well, there's actually a lot more than that. Yeah, there's a bunch, but they have like a new place to farm, a couple banks.
Is that a Grand Exchange? No, definitely not.
No, an altar in the middle. You could tell that could have been a Grand Exchange, but they decided not to.
They don't want to. Yeah, they don't want to split up the community like
RS3.
Yeah, RuneScape 3. They have this city, but it's a really great city that has all these new methods of training skills. But that caused a lot of the max levels and high levels to go there instead of going to the Grand Exchange or something like that, because it did have a Grand Exchange or an auction house within it. And I guess they don't want to split off the community. They want them all to still have their gathering hubs.
I mean, I don't mind. How many people are going to be begging here? You know what I mean?
Ooh.
How many 13 trouts are you going to see here? Probably like none. So I would like that to kind of filter out those lesser thans. But like, the city itself does look nice. They have like a lot of watchtowers around the perimeter, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
A lot of guard towers. Yeah, I can't really just sit here and explain no point explaining what a picture looks like. But that's pretty much it that they talked about with this quest. Song of the Elves. What do you think about all of this?
Looks good. So what I was going to say before is I'm a little disappointed because with this new armor coming out, it's yet another piece of armor that's going to be tied to at least 70 or 75 defense. Probably 70.
Well, what's the Crystal Shield?
70.
Probably 7. Isn't there agility linked to the shield as well?
Yeah, there's a bit of agility.
So yeah, the shield is 70 defense, 50 agility. So it's safe to assume that that's what the armor is going to be.
Just so far, we've seen a lot of new stuff being proposed. I want to see a new tier of armor. Like, this is getting, we talked about it before, but this is getting ridiculous. Now you're going to have literally like 100 pieces of gear between weapons and armor that are just locked between 70 and 75.
Yeah.
It's starting to get ridiculous.
I feel like Jagex will, at some point this year, have an update or like a poll being, like, call it the segregation of weapons and armor. I don't know. They're gonna have to do a big update where they replace the item requirements or the level requirements to all this gear, because yeah, I agree. It's
one thing if this was level 99 and we had this much gear, but it's another thing when you're like stuck at 70 and 75 where it's just getting silly.
Yeah. This gear specifically, I'd be okay with it being at 70 because crystal stuff in general is like, you use it for welfare bossing, like the crystal shield, even the bow for like Dagonoths, you can use that as like.
But then you got the crystal halberd.
The halberd, that's like pretty nice.
It's good. Crystal bow, yeah, you don't really use that for much. The crystal shield,
it's like you don't want to get a DFS, so you use a crystal shield.
Yeah, but I use it for Zulrah because of its range defense, and then I use it for Armadil.
Wait, you use a crystal shield for Zulrah?
Yeah.
You shouldn't.
I do.
Minus 10 magic and range? Or I guess magic?
Live life on the edge.
Alright, that's bad, but okay. It's your game, it's your membership. I'm not paying for your membership.
They defaced the wiki, I don't know what gear to use. It's all just crystal armor, so I just fill out whatever I can.
Yeah, everything's just 69 across the board, and 73s. Good memes, but I like this. I don't like how there's a new agility method that's going to be coming in, because
Why?
The issue with RS3's agility course, rooftop course, is that you don't even have to move your mouse.
Oh,
Like, there's just like a tiny box. Like, my buddy sent me a video, and it's just like, you don't move the fucking mouse. And it's like AFK.
sounds like heaven.
No, it's awful. It's stupid. Dumb. Don't devalue my agility. Especially like what we're gonna play. They're probably gonna place it like 50 because they seem to put these requirements like really low, like 75 or like.
I'm thinking 90.
That's Artie though. It's gonna be better than Artie.
Oh, Artie. Okay, so 95. Yeah, I think so. 95, 92. 90,
I feel like
91.
they wouldn't do that though.
I feel like it'd be stupid
They want to add a new Slayer mask that requires 75 combat, which is weird. It's awkward. 75, 85, then 100, and that's it.
But
You know what I mean?
you have to do all these quests. This is going to be a new end level. I mean, whatever.
Sure, if they add it to 95, cool. But I don't like it. I guess you want to move on to the next one?
Yeah, the begin.
And so I guess we'll move on to the next reveal, which is warding. What is warding? It is a new skill that Jagex would like to see introduced into the game.
You either hate it or you love it. That's what I've been seeing.
Yeah, do you want to read a little lore intro?
Holy shit, I guess so. The ground shook across the land as 6 ominous rocks rose from the earth in a swirl of magic and rubble. The scholars of the Wizard's Tower were quick to act and immediately begin studying the monolithic monstrosities. They quickly discovered a method of manipulating the energy within the rocks and with various magical tools used to create armor with impressive capabilities. Some would say this came far too easily, as if they knew exactly what they were doing. Dive into old school RuneScape's first new skill by discovering the hidden armaments of the Wizard's Tower and gaining insight into the practice of warding. There you will learn the intricate art of drawing wards, channeling runic energy to create a vast array of armor suited for witches and wizards.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. All right, next one.
Yeah, you like it?
Yeah, it's the best. Okay, we'll actually talk about more. What exactly is warding? Warding is a method in creating magic-based gear, such as like mystic robes, Zamorak robes, blue wizard robes, robes in general.
An argument for why this would fit is because we have smithing for melee, and we have crafting for range.
Yeah, so the reason why this came about is, kind of like what Dill said, the process of, like, getting melee gear, especially, like, this is going back to, like RuneScape Classic, the old school days, like, this, like, the beginnings, is that you would mine the ores, smelt them into bars, create the armor, and then sell them or use them. When it came to ranged armor, you would, kill dragons or cows, then you would tan the hides, craft them with the crafting skill, boom, you got your hides, you got your range gear. And so now the way they want warding to work is that you would farm, like, silks, you would use the farming skill to get, like, silks and all that good stuff, and then you would use these, like, soapstone, like, this new thing we'll go about in a bit, but, like, then through farming, you'll be able to use, like, some of the warding skill to kind of create these magic things.
Yeah, these new robes, or some of the old robes as well.
Yeah. So farming is to warding what mining is to, like, smithing and melee, I guess, and crafting to, combat, getting the hides, to crafting to range.
Sure.
Hopefully that was a good enough summary of, like, why they feel like or how this would kind of work in the world.
But they have some other ideas to tie in with this new skill as well. That's not, like, it is to do with making the armor, but it's got other functions, other reasonings behind it.
Yeah, so it's not just straight up farming. I mentioned, like, soapstones briefly, which is weird because every RuneScape player is dirty, and people don't know what soap is.
They know what soapstones are. You gotta sharpen those blades or something. Yeah,
so some of the materials for warding would be, like, barks, cloths, and leathers.
Yep, so you might be wondering, why barks? Well, because you can get
split bark.
Yeah, you can get split bark now, but you got to bring it to someone else to create your split bark armor.
Yeah.
Which is meant as a tank magic armor.
Mm-hmm.
Well, with this new skill, it gives them the space that you can now create better tiers of split bark that are basically the Torags, but for magic.
Yeah. So they could add a whole new dynamic of magic armor. So alongside with farming, we kind of lied a bit, but you could do a little bit of hunting, little bit of, like, killing certain monsters for certain things.
Of course.
And obviously there'd be, like, new praise, new crops, all that stuff. And that's how you would get one of the basic materials. The other aspect, I guess, would be runic energy. And runic energy is a powerful new resource contained within these runestone monoliths that Dill's mentioned. Players could draw the runic energy out and store it by casting spells on the monoliths. This gives players the option to train magic by splashing, but with the added benefit of gathering a useful resource at the same time. This would get splashers out of the Lumbridge Castle basement and just around Lumbridge, and they'd be at, like, they say thematic location, but, like, it would be aesthetically pleasing to the player base as you run by a stone and you see people chatting and splashing, gaining resources, right?
Yeah, you're not seeing when let's say you're a new player and you first start the game, you don't see a dozen people all standing there shooting, like, wearing full armor and casting a spell on a rat, where it'll get you questioning things, but then you see a guy come by and he's got a cat and the cat's killing the mice too.
Yeah, which is the best part about splashing.
Yeah.
That's why you gotta splash on spiders in the basement, because you can't do that. So it gives the game more of, like, a lively tone to people wanting to AFK train magic, which, like, is not the biggest issue, but it definitely isn't good to see all these people just, like, splashing random creatures around chickens and all that stuff. It kind of gets them out in the world.
It might be cool at first for a new player, because they're like, oh, what's going on here? This is interesting. But once you kind of know what they're doing, you're like, come on, this is so lame. Mm-hmm. But hey, it's better than going to clan wars right before bed and finding a partner to splash on all night.
Yep. Yeah, so also, they'd be wearing magic equipment, like his magic bonus, and that would increase your runic energy potential and, breaking up the army of graceful clones. So not everyone's going to be running around in graceful.
Or iron armor.
Yeah. Well, graceful, just kind of like, that's when, you're questing.
Oh,
generally,
okay,
we're graceful. Yeah.
And they also mentioned here that there will be different monoliths that have different types of energy. So there'll be one for mind energy, which is probably going to be the most basic resource of it. But then there'll be death as well. So, death, chaos, blood, wrath, maybe?
Maybe.
But this just tells you the tiers that you can use that resource for better gear, right?
Yep. So yeah, it will also be possible to passively collect energy at rune altars when rune crafting.
Ooh.
Kind of gives you a basic idea of where some of these monoliths might be. So the energy will be a tier resource. Like Dylan was explaining, there's, mines and deaths and all that stuff. The tier of energy you need for like warding will be dependent on your level and the equipment that you wish to create, and a conversion system which allows runic energy to be upgraded or downgraded, but some will be lost in the process. So if you're like a free-to-play player, because there will be basic warding if it gets put in the game for free-to-play.
Did they say that?
Yeah. They said it during Runefest.
Must have missed that part.
Yeah. Maybe you go members and you can turn all those hundreds of thousands of mind, you just splash all day, right? Some of those people that might want to make a pure account or something.
Yeah.
Can, maybe upgrade and turn a profit. Who knows? Anyways, mentioned it before, soapstones. This is the tool one of the tools you'll be using for warding. And so soapstones are the first tools that you'd be using for warding. And these are created by chiseling a lump of steatite.
Yeah, okay.
Steatite and charging it with runes. Steatite can be obtained through mining or bought from shops or other players. You can create 4 different soapstones depending on the runes you can charge from them. Air, water, earth, and fire. The more powerful soapstones will require higher warding levels to use, but have an added benefit. This may take the form of reduced runic energy consumption, but is subject to balancing. You'll be able to use wards drawn by other players to receive the benefit of higher level soapstones when training, adding a social element to the game or to the skill. And while you can draw a ward anywhere, players may choose a ward at a runic monolith sites for lower rates of runic energy. So
I'm getting a bit of a divination vibe from this.
Yep, this is very similar to divination. So if you're kind of like drawing what? So the way they kind of like word this pretty poorly for the dev block, they kind of set you up. But so the way it works is this won't be a bank standing skill. It's pretty obvious how you'll be out in the world like splashing on these monoliths. And then let's say you get like some essences, whatever, you make some soapstones. And then with the soapstones, you would draw a symbol on the ground. You maybe use some of these runic energies to charge it. And then from there, you'd be using resources at that drawn location to start creating armor. So it's not a good idea to be doing it at a bank if you're trying to be efficient on resources.
Yep.
And it will be most likely beneficial to have other players join in on you while you're drawing and utilizing these soapstones.
Yeah, this ward you'll be drawing on the ground.
Yeah.
It's basically going to be your workstation. Similar to with smithing, you have to go out and get an anvil, but this one you can place wherever you want.
Yeah. Yeah, there's benefits and, you can do it next to a bank if you want, but it won't be there for long. It'll cost a lot of energy because you're far away from a monolith. And I guess the other tool that we should mention is a channeling lamp. So it's an equipable tool. Think of it as something like a pickaxe or something. And when casting spells on the runic monolith or rune crafting, the runic energy you generate will fill a lamp up you've equipped it. Higher level lamps will be required to gather higher tier energy or to use it at a ward. So now you know the basics of, or the concepts of all these random things. This is the step-by-step process. So you gather your silks, you gather your energy, you draw the ward, you create robes. So you farm, hunt, kill, splash, draw, make.
It's nothing too crazy.
Nope. That's like the basic idea. And they have a rough table of the armors.
This is like some examples of some of the gear we already have, and they're expanding on some of it. Yeah, just to give you an idea.
Yeah, this is like stuff that's in the game. They have obviously other ideas. They already have like concept art for some of the new armors they'd like to implement. And then obviously there's a lot more to this. But for the basics, at level 1, you'd be able to make a wizard skirt. That would take 2 magic cloths and mind energy. At level 3 is a wizard hat, which is 2 cloths mind energy. At level 5 is a wizard hood. So it's a new piece of magic gear.
Okay.
Level 7's a wizard robe. And then at level 10 would be a Zamorak hood, level 12 Zamorak skirt, level 14 Zamorak robe. And then you have the druid clothes, the robes, the hood at 15, the skirt at 17, the robe at 19, the monk's hood or the monk's gear. So the monk hood would be at 20, which would, new item, nice. The monk skirt at 22, monk's robes at 24. Then they'd have like Xerxian clothes. So they'd be removing this from crafting and putting it onto this, but you would need the 3 of the fabrics and chaos energy. And so it started at 25 for the hat, 27 for the skirt, 29 for the robe. To give you an idea, the 3 cloths, I kind of skimmed over some of them, but the cloths that they have, the basic ones, like the first couple levels would be magic, holy, and then just Xerxian fabrics, I guess. Does that make sense? Did I explain that properly?
Yeah. So just your first beginner levels. Obviously, there's going to be more, like we mentioned, with the split bark.
Yep.
And the higher tiers of that split bark. But there's also going to be mystic robes, it looks like, instead of having to go to the wizard tower to get that, or the wizard's guild. This also gives them a lot of room to kind of work with other gear.
Yep. Add new gear, move it around, make it a little bit more fun. And there's more to it, though. There's some more perks, such as dissolving. Or you might think of this better as something like disenchanting.
Or invention.
Yeah.
Minus the buffs.
Yeah. So another use of the wards would be dissolving. And this involves using undesired or junk items and using them on a ward to break them down. In return, you'll receive runic energy and a chance to get back some of the components. So if you use like an adamant plate body, there's a chance of getting some adamant bars and, energy.
Yeah, and you probably could do that with any gear that you're kind of crafting.
Yeah, you can craft a bunch, break it all down.
Save you some money in the end.
Yep. And keep the prices at an appropriate level. Maybe there's ways to make money off warding where you could be breaking down certain gears and making others. Like it adds a cool economic aspect to the skill, in my opinion, where it's not like crafting where you're just making bodies and then like elking them or selling them at a higher price, and because that it gives it like a new look. But more importantly, which I think is super interesting, changing up Nightmare Zone a little bit. Ooh. So Nightmare Zone currently is pretty overpowered in mine and I guess a lot of people's opinions.
Super AFK, super good experience. A lot of good rewards come from it.
Yeah, really good rewards. The reward shop's a little bit strong and a little bit vital. Like you kind of have to do NMZ if you want to have a proper account.
Well, think about it. Berserker Ring, its stats get doubled.
Yep.
So you kind of have to do it at some point.
Yeah. So to make both Nightmare Zone and warding feel thematic to the game, they would like the ability to imbue rings and other items to various warding levels. So, hey, I might imbue my rings on my Obby Mauler.
True. Just gotta maybe get the appropriate warding level for it.
Yeah, imbue that stuff. It'd probably be pretty high.
I think it's a good idea.
Yep.
I mean, this is probably a better, maybe not the best way of doing it, but a way better way than Nightmare Zone.
That was a lot to take in, and they do have feedback threads where you can ask questions and discuss ideas of the skill. All that good stuff. You can flame them like probably everyone's doing. I don't know.
A lot of flaming.
But some of the impacts of warding on old school, they've mentioned some of these concerns or they've touched upon them. So, is warding available to non-members? Yeah, like up to around level 40. It's going to cap it around level 40, they say. I mean, obviously, this is just a Runefest reveal, so everything's subject to change.
Of course.
But it is designed to be open to free players. Will the quest be locked? Due to the nature of the skill, we would like it to be accessible as early as possible in the game. Ideally, this means shortly after leaving Tutorial Island, prospective mages will be able to create their own equipment the same way warriors and rangers can. With this in mind, we do not plan to lock the skill behind a quest. Other skills may help though, as mining does for smithing, but will not be a requirement. Can warding produce best in slot equipment? The goal of warding is to create viable equipment, particularly for low to medium level players the same way smithing and crafting does. Rune armor, black d'hide armor, all that stuff.
They're good armors, but not the best.
Yep. However, warding provides an access to defensive magical armors and will not produce armor with high magical accuracy bonus. We will still expect the top tier magical equipment to include the likes of arms and ancestral. The scope is there is a scope for further equipment to be added to warding, and if the community sees fit. They made a big mistake here in the dev blog. It's kind of funny. This
is a coding error?
Yeah. They have, in capitals, NB Soulbark and Bloodbark images. And they meant to implement images for everyone to look at, but it's the split bark armor, and it's recolored for soul, like a soul rune-esque look, with those colors, like more of a light look, and then Bloodbark. You kind of know what that, would look like. You can just kind of picture it however you want, because right now you're listening and it's your imagination.
It's not even a picture to go off of.
Yeah. You'd have to go look at the YouTube video, I guess. But that's it for warding.
Well, they have one last thing here. How will warding affect the economy?
Oh, yeah, they do have that. So I was hidden. I gotta scroll right past that. Want me to go say that?
Sure.
So, how will warding affect the economy? We expect that as a production skill, warding will stimulate the in-game economy overall. It creates further incentives to train farming, hunter, and runecrafting. However, it's far too early to predict the prices of the resources, materials, and created equipment. If the skill will be a good money-making method, they don't really know. Gathering runic energy could be profitable for players willing to sell to others who don't want to get it themselves.
True.
All that stuff.
If this does pass, gather some of that runic energy for those EHP guys grinding that 99 as fast as possible. They'll probably be buying a lot of it.
So what are your thoughts on warding?
I think it's a fitting skill. It's nothing too crazy like sailing. Sailing was a very out there skill where it sounded very cool, but would have been very hard to put in. This seems like it would fit well with old school RuneScape. We do need the ability to craft magic armor, and it just seems like this would add to the world instead of just being some weird skill like dungeoneering was.
Mm-hmm.
So honestly, I'm on board with it. Nothing is too game-changing, and as much as I don't really want to train a skill right now, I got my own goals going, this does seem like it would be a cool one to have. Seems like it has a perfect place for an old school RuneScape. And it gives them ways to kind of play around with it in the future, add some more shit to it if they wanted to.
Yeah. In my opinion, well, this is pretty much tailoring. It's just like a RuneScape spin on what tailoring is.
It's like tailoring mixed with a little bit of divination.
Yeah. So, as like a base concept of warding, I like it. I like the idea of like being able to craft magic armor. Keep in mind, I do like this idea, but I do have a lot of concerns and worries, even though it's kind of this, I'm just kind of use the same word, but don't worry, I took notes.
So I've seen a lot of people complaining about this. A lot of gripes are, it's not really needed. It's going to be slightly useless. Like, it doesn't have too many benefits with it. It's just another skill to train. I've seen people complain. I know there's going to be some people complaining that, hey, I have a max cape. I'm going to lose it now until I grind 12
This is why we don't want a completionist cape in the game. That's exactly why I don't think a completionist cape should be in the game, because some people have that mindset.
That's the thing. When you're thinking about this, it's really hard to not put yourself in it. You want to be like objective about it. You don't want to have a personal opinion tied to it because, like, well, I don't want to have to train warding. I'm struggling hard enough as it is to get 99 fire making. Now I got to do this one. But
fuck them.
Yeah, you need to see if this would fit in the game, if it would be healthy, if it's going to have some sort of value, which there might not be a whole lot of value, but like it's kind of like fire making. Fire making is a useless skill. Fletching, kind of a useless skill.
Wood cutting, very useless.
A lot of the skills are just there just because. Like how I'm making bows now to get to 99 fletching. Who's buying these 50,000 magic longbows that I'm trying to sell?
Someone who's training magic and making money.
Someone who's training magic. Yeah, exactly.
I have some notes I took down when I was watching the warding presentation. So I have some pros and some cons and some questions and concerns. In general, I think it's a fair idea. You can't really argue that. Like, crafting's a thing, smithing's a thing. If warding was placed at the conception of like RuneScape itself, it would make a lot of sense. And it's just weird that it wasn't put in, but it also makes sense because it's magic, right? It's a magical armor, whatever. They have some cool ideas for disenchanting. It adds a really interesting concept to the skill itself because, like I said, it changes the way you train it in terms of like GP per XP, like like an economic way. Like it adds a new aspect to it where you might be making armors that you're better off selling, but you hit this level and you want to break these ones down and do this. Like,
yeah,
it's really cool, and I feel like it's something that if you want to sit down and do a spreadsheet over and figure out, like, if you're an Iron Man, which armors you should be elking and then or breaking down to like potentially level it up at this because you want to hit those imbues, right?
Yeah, and it's hard to say if you'll get experience from breaking them down. You might get some.
Well, you'll be getting resources and runic energy that you can then use again.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is if you get no experience from it or a little experience,
you won't get any from breaking it down.
Well, now you're having to think like, is it worth my time to break down 10,000 magic longbows?
Yeah, it adds a really cool concept instead of like you use a good example of magic longbows. Should I be elking these or should I be breaking them down? Like I'm thinking in terms of an Iron Man. Like it adds like a whole new aspect to the game, which is pretty cool. The idea that we could have the ability to not AFK NMZ for hours and hours. Like, I mean, I should be against it. I have like 13 mil points that I need to get rid of. I'm like, I have like 5 Slayer Helm imbues.
Yeah, I got one more to do.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm just like imbuing them, and I just like the collection. I need to get rid of my points.
Her boxes.
Yeah, it doesn't do it fast enough. And, potential item sync, with the whole deconstruction thing. Kind of already said that. And now, here are my worries. And my first one is, if you haven't played RuneScape 3, they have a skill called Divination. And Divination is very similar. Actually, some of the examples they showed in their warding reveal is like divination spots where you were training it. And I did Divination for like a couple days when it was released, and I haven't touched the game since then pretty much. So my memory might be spotty, but you go to certain areas where there's like essence is like leaking from an area. You know what I mean? There's like a node that's like leaking this divination stuff.
It's an energy. Yeah. And
then you kind of click and collect these essences, and then with divination you would turn these essences into like a coal ore, and very similar to how you would gather up with your buddies if you're doing warding, right? You're splashing an area, or you're like collecting divination essence with everyone in an area, gaining essence in a small area, and then you would go somewhere, and with divination specifically, you could go to the GE and say, hey, I'm about to drop a coal vein, and people will be like, can I get some help? And people would gather around, you would drop it, and every time someone, like every 3 or 4 ticks, whatever, you would gain noted coal for everyone mining it, up to a certain point. You can't just get like 2,000 people to do it, but yeah, and it's kind of like, I feel like warding will be similar to that, where you want to get your friends together so you can save resources on drawing.
Maybe making it, but I don't think you're going to get anything back from other people using it.
But it's the same concept of like, it's a node, like a movable workstation type thing that you're going to benefit doing it with groups of people.
It could be something where somebody wants to train it fast. So they're not going to haul themselves over to the monolith.
They might just get people to still make shit for them over and over again.
Well, they're just going to do it in the bank, right? Because, like, let's say they're just banking and they're just going to keep making the split bark armor to train as fast as possible. You might be there and go, hey, no way, I'm just going to jump in on this guy's thing.
Yeah, or you have people taking turns, right? There's probably going to be clans based on this.
Yeah.
Where you can just sit at the bank and do it.
Join warding CC.
Yep. It's, save that name. And, it's kind of cool because it's in the middle of crafting is bank standing, smithing, you're near a bank and you're running around, warding, you could do anything in between.
Yep.
You could be out by the Falador statue, a little bit southeast of that, where they had like that one monolith shown in their thingy. Anyways, so that is really worrisome for me, just based on that concept, because I really hated divination.
So you don't want people using other people's monolith or ward circle.
I don't want to be at the GE and see like people spamming wards.
Why
and
not?
like asking for wards and all that stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
but it would kind of, you see people lighting fires. Does that bother you?
No, because no one's sitting there going, holy fuck, can someone light a goddamn fire here? Oh my god. Like, it's not like, I don't know. I don't really know how I feel about that. I would
think it would be cool to see people drawing these wards, because now you're in the GE, you're seeing a guy light fires, you're seeing a guy making potions, and a guy's fletching, whatchamacallit, you got a guy who's begging, you got people who are just fashionscape chilling and dancing.
at an auction house, though. It's kind of weird.
It's like the center of the town, you know what I mean? It's like where everyone's coming to gather, and all flocks of life are just doing their own thing, and it's kind of cool to see that. I like that. It's like a party.
Okay, for some reason half my notes got deleted, but don't worry, I memorized this shit.
Rehearsed them.
One thing I could feel is problematic is that at this point, Jagex has given up on splashing.
Well, I mean, yeah.
And now you're incentivized to splash, and you might actually make money from splashing. I mean, obviously, like, if you're doing, like, mind runes or something on the mind thing, it's free to play, it's not going to be worth that much. But you're now, like, Jagex is like, there's so many people splashing. Well, let's just, like, put them in an area that they can't be interrupted, and they get stuff back.
I can kind of see why they don't want to fully take out splashing from the game, because it's an AFK way to train your magic. It's super slow experience. It's very slow experience. And it's going to cost you some money.
Not much.
Not much, but you get so little experience. I've tried it, and
well, yeah, if you're like 80 and shit. But like I splashed from like 1 to 67, and then I elked to 85, and then I elked and used my my trident to like, I don't know, 90 or some shit, and then I just barraged 94.
Do you think it's better that they just leave them in Lumbridge Castle though?
No, I think they should just deal with splashing. Not make it as AFK. Make it like, it's just going to be a thing that like, the essences I feel like are going to be highly auto-clicked or botted. But this leads to like something that's kind of interesting, where you get those people that AFK woodcut, and then they sell the logs, and then people come by and fletch them and make more money. You make money from fletching if you're doing longbows.
Yeah.
So, like, that could add a really interesting aspect, but this will also ask for, like, a demand that people want to be making money off of warding. If this is a gold sink, people are going to complain, because, like, they don't want another gold sink skill. We have a lot of them. I think when people want a new skill, like a skilling skill, I think deep down they want something that's a mill an hour that's, like, woodcutting.
Yeah, I mean,
I think that's what people, because, like, when we were kids, hey, guess what? Woodcutting made the same amount of money as it did today, but now you realize spending 30 hours cutting a magic tree isn't really that good in the long run.
Yeah, that's what I've noticed. People complain that, man, AFKing, like these AFK skills are such crap money these days.
It's like, no, it's always been the same. It's just now you kind of realize.
Yeah, I used to sell my magic logs for 1K each. Mm-hmm. Now I'm selling them for 1.1K actually.
Yeah.
So it's no difference. People are they've gotten conditioned to, you spend an hour wood cutting, you make what, like 76K? Something like that. Maybe a bit more, like 100K.
I feel like there's going to be, no matter what, there's going to be a lot of backlash. I do feel like it is kind of a cool idea with some cool concepts, but it's all about implementation, and I'm worried, like my main worry is that it clearly draws heavily off divination, which was a skill I just thought. I feel like it kind of made RuneScape look too fairy tale-y and mystically, you know what I mean? Too like magically, where you just see like, you know what I mean? Like this random monolith, like a couple hundred people shooting mad, you know what I mean? I feel like it's gonna just like, you're like, I don't know. It might just like make the game feel weird. Maybe it's just because it's a new concept.
It might be, but it's not really a new concept, because you'll have those same people all standing around a willow tree, or you know what I mean, or the fishing spot.
Yeah, that kind of makes more sense though, as opposed to like next outside the Falador Castle wall, where there's a monolith. Now they're shooting shit for a mind rune. Yeah,
but you, as a new player, you walk by and see it, you might start wondering like, what are these guys doing? Oh, they're training and like, oh, there's a lot of people here. I should try to do this.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel that when it comes to like a skill, I want it to have its place quite literally, where you go to Draenor and everyone's cutting willows, and you're like, cool, there's a bunch of willow trees in your bank, people are cutting, that's cool. And then like fishing, you're like, okay, people are in Catherby by like an ocean on a sandy beach fishing, that's kind of cool. And then like warding, it's like people are like in the middle of nowhere splashing on magic and then like drawing
So you would
anywhere, and then they're just drawing circles and then crafting armor. My big issue actually comes from like the actual crafting of the armor, as opposed, you know what I mean? Because I feel like that is just there's no order to it. It's just like chaos, or just, you know what I mean? Like you can put it anywhere, and it's just kind of weird.
Yeah, but it's like it's magic, right?
Yeah, so
You'd rather them go to like the Wizard's Tower and have some workstation there?
yeah.
Or like the Wizard's Guild.
Wizard's Guild, there's a bank near closer, so it's, now you want to go to Yanil and train it there. Because it's just weird that you can craft potentially Bloodbark armor, this cool new armor at the GE. Like I want to go to like a tower, like, you know what I mean? Like
At the same time, like that's such a long run. You know what I mean? You gotta start wondering, like, what are these experience rates going to be? If you have to go to the Wizard's Tower every time to craft an inventory of something.
Like Wizard's Guild,
but yeah.
there's one in RD2. Like, it's not that far of a run. It's pretty close.
True.
Like, I would just like it to, like, it's like if you could drop your own anvil and smith. You're like, well, that's weird. And it's like, why not go like a little blacksmithing area near a bank? Like,
my only argument,
makes sense, right?
My only argument is that we're dealing with magic, so it's just like you can like already cast spells. Like, what's the difference? You know what I mean? You can use a home teleport to teleport home. You don't got to go to like an area that's going to teleport you back to Lumbridge.
Yeah.
So if you're able to put down a rune tile, a warding circle, you're using magic. You know what I mean? It's not like an anvil that you're like just carrying around with you and placing down. This is when you're casting the spell. I don't know. It makes more sense to me because it's like in a fantasy world, magic can do that sort of stuff, right?
Yeah, but like, I don't know. I guess maybe I just feel like magic is a different place. It's not just like, you know what I mean? Like, it should be confined because it's magic. I feel like, the game's really like memey and stuff, and there's not like super like immersion into like a, child like based like medieval like, kids game type thing. But I don't know. That's just kind of how I feel.
I would love to hear everyone else's opinions because I know it's a very polarizing topic.
Yep.
I'll see in the clan chat, someone says they love it, someone says they hate it. But yeah, let us know on our Discord, Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube comments like what you guys think, and let us know the arguments whether you're for it or against it.
Yep. Keep in mind, this is all just Runefest reveals, and like everything's heavily subject to change.
It might not even. It might be revealed again next Runefest, like the farming guild.
Yep. Or it might just get instantly shot down harder than our artisan skill, which I can't believe 56% of the people voted on because that was the shittiest idea ever.
I mean, it's sailing, 69%.
I would have, like, that's fine.
Sailing's a cool idea. I wish they would bring that in. Maybe not the skill, but something to do with sailing.
Yeah. This is definitely, in my opinion, their best skilling idea so far, though.
It makes sense. You can tell they worked hard on it. Like, I said before, it's fitting. You know what I mean? If they were going to introduce a skill, this one does make the most sense so far. I'm surprised RuneScape 3 doesn't have this. I'm surprised they came out with divinations before this.
Well, this is very divination meets invention.
Yeah, but with different results, right?
Yeah. It's their own spin on, like, two cool, like, ideas,
It's a more basic spin on it. It's like the most basic idea, where RuneScape 3, I felt like they went overcomplicated for... You know what I mean? Like, divinations, you place down these resource spots where you can fish and mine and, I guess, woodcut. But, like, why wouldn't you have thought of doing a crafting for magic armor?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Let us know your opinions. I'm interested to hear them. Should we move on to our last reveal of Runefest?
Yeah.
So, they have talked about... Again, this is a re-reveal, partly. So, last Runefest, they talked about PVP Bounties, where you're going to receive a bounty to kill, let's say, 5 players using full Darox. So you'll have to do that, and then maybe you get some points, which you can exchange for cool hats, and probably just cool hats. Maybe a cool cape. Mm-hmm. Maybe a new cape, but they can't design cool capes anymore for some reason.
Yeah, someone that someone else made.
Yeah.
Or something that someone else made.
So yeah, that's their idea. Maybe it's kill so-and-so amount of people with a DDS, or
it's
rune
like
two-hander.
It's like a Slayer version of PvP.
Yeah, and it's just to unlock some new cosmetics. I don't think it's not going to be a skill or anything, but
no.
So they talked about that one to let us know that they're still going to work on having that. But what I was more excited to hear about was they're going to be introducing another sort of tournaments. This isn't really a new introduction, but it seems like they want to have this more. They want this to occur more often, similar to how Deadman Mode tournament is 4 times a year.
Yep.
So they're going to be having these PvP tournaments now. We've seen it before, and for what it was decent. Minus, people unplugging their routers and blaming it on DDoSing and getting DDoSed.
This will be more of a traditional 1v1 type PvP tournament, and the brackets will be consisting of 16 streamers and YouTubers.
Yep, broken down into 4 groups. It's going to be a round-robin tournament where every person's going to have to face each other at least once, and the winner of that bracket of 4 will move on to the next. This is going to be in-house, so they're all going to be on LAN, so no DDoSing.
Well, they're going to get DDoSed somehow.
Yeah, they're going to get...
You can see just Mod Jed in his prison outfit just unplugging PCs.
It's not even a DDoS, he's just unplugging it. Turning on the microwave. There's just 6 microwaves surrounding the little tournament.
The router and all in between all the PCs and stuff. You don't know if it's him or Sickner just making pizza pockets, though.
But yeah, they'll be having some of the best PvPers and streamers on stage.
Well, they did say that they're just grabbing people.
Yeah, but it's not.
They didn't specify skill.
But it's not gonna. They're gonna be good enough to be recognized. We're not just gonna get something in our mailbox being like, "Hey, Dills, you're gonna go in this PvP tournament. Here's your ticket."
I feel like the credentials would be popularity.
Popularity, yeah, someone who's recognized.
But let's say. I don't know who's a bad PKer. Is Mr. Mammal bad PKer? I've never seen him do anything. He's an Iron Man.
He has a YouTube series where he wears random bits of armor, and then he has a wheel he spins that determines what he's going to be wearing, and he has to fight with.
Is he good, though?
He gets kills.
But is he good, though? Because I could do that for 30 hours straight and kill someone.
He gets kills.
Let's just say, just for the sake of the argument, if he's bad... And you know what I mean? There's probably going to be a couple of these streamers that aren't the best PKers. Because I kind of find it hard to believe that every single content creator is good at PKing.
With 16, that's not that many people. You can find 16 decent PKers. You know what I mean? A lot of the big streamers, and look at Deadman Mode. You know what I mean? You could have the YouTubers like Torvesta, streamers like.
There's definitely a bit of a surplus of content creators. There's a lot of content creators
that do decent PKing videos, right?
Oh yeah.
So they definitely, it's not just going to be, some a friend shows up and he doesn't PK at all.
Well, that would probably be the best if a friend showed up and people start hucking rotten tomatoes at him
just for the drama.
Yeah. In all seriousness, though, they're gonna have to I would want them to shuffle around. You know what I mean? Who's this content creator? Oh, it's Slayer Music 1.
But it'd be kind of lame to have him up against a streamer like Bodhi, who's very good at PKing.
But
you're just gonna see him get one shot, and you're like, "Well, that was not fun."
Would you prefer them cycling them, or just seeing the finals of Manked Up Mage versus?
Well, of course not. I don't want every tournament to be the same people, but. Like I said, there's so many good PKers in this game, and there's also so many streamers and YouTubers that there's more than 16.
Yeah.
So they can switch through.
So my issue with this, I don't know if you have any issues with this. I do think it's really cool to have 1v1s, 16-man brackets. I like that a lot.
There's actually more information. So,
oh, is there? Okay.
Yeah, let me just finish going through. So you'll have the round-robin tournament where there's 4 people in each grouping. They have to fight each other. The person who wins the most goes on to the next one. As you get to closer to the finals...
Yep.
You move into the next bracket. There'll be actually requirements. Your account might have 1 defense, but all the other stats are 99.
Yeah, they'll be setting certain stats.
So you can't just be a good main PKer. You have to be pretty well-rounded if you want to win.
What they'll be doing is that it'll be a best of 5.
Yep.
And then each fight will be a different setup. So let's say if me and you fight 5 times, we might have Piety Pure accounts and then Tri-Brids, 1 defense, maybe a Granite Mall Baby Pures. They'll be changing the exact layouts of the fights. Maybe no honor Tri-Brids. Maybe you don't even get overheads for the next fight.
Yeah, maybe you have 1 prayer.
Yeah, so they'll be changing how each fight goes in a set of 5, and then the finals will be a set of 7.
Yep,
and it'll be the same concept. So I love the idea. I actually really love this idea of finally PvP actual PvP tournaments. Like,
yeah, Deadman mode's fun, but I did enjoy watching the PvP tournaments. But this sounds like a more something you can get invested in. You can find the person you want to win, and you can be cheering for him the whole time.
And I think the one thing they noticed that will always be an issue with Deadman mode, and they kind of fixed it with that could happen to this, but they kind of fixed it, is that there's a clear meta every single time.
Yeah.
Like the Verax meta was awful. Like this last Deadman mode, finals was pretty cool because like there's new armors, but it's everyone, you know, with the same gear, doing the same stuff, right?
Some were different though. They're trying to figure out these new things, right?
Yeah. But it's all just max tribirds fighting. And it's fun. I love watching that, but you know, how much more fun would it be to see like this, now it's like Gmaul Pures going at it, and they're like, you see them like instinctively going for overheads because they don't PK on these accounts. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Weird magic based builds. They could do some really cool stuff, even like bad builds.
Yeah.
They could even just like intentionally give people really bad builds. Like that would be really interesting to watch. As long as it's
you're
fair.
level 3.
Yeah.
Switching from the bronze scimitar
just like
to a bronze two-hander.
2 defense, pures 10 HP, 99 defense, no armor, watch them go at it. You gotta train their attack high enough. Whoever gets it up faster wins. No, but my actual gripe with this is that I feel like it should be like 16 people. I like that. Maybe make it like 12 content creators, and then have, or maybe just like, you know, 15, but have like the winner or like the first and second place of the Deadman finals of the tournament.
Yeah, they haven't said
allowed
specifically
into it.
who it is. Like, you know what I mean? Of course they're going to have some streamers. That's,
well, when
they'd be stupid not to do that.
Well, they announced it as like a streaming, like they'd have content creators fight.
Yeah, well, they'll have some, and then I wouldn't be surprised if they pull some people who are like, maybe don't stream a whole lot. But the thing is, most people who are going competitively on Deadman mode stream. Whether they're successful at it or not, different story. A lot of people are streaming.
Yep.
So,
but I would like imagine some no-name person winning a Deadman tournament, and then like, nice, I can do PvP, and I can promote my own shit.
Yeah, exactly. So
it would be really interesting.
We'll
I like
have to
this as
see.
a concept.
Maybe they'll look at like the bounty hunter scores and stuff and be like, this guy's pretty good. He just has like 4 viewers.
It's a bot farm.
Yeah, that's it for the Runefest announcements.
Overall, do you feel satisfied?
It was cool. This seems like an exciting year.
Yeah.
I have not many gripes with it all. PVP bounties, whatever.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm pretty average about that.
Overall, I like everything I heard. I do obviously have like weird nitpicky things, and just like, because they obviously don't have like, this is the exact blueprint of how
because they say it. Everyone goes, no, voting no. So they go, give us your feedback and suggestions.
Yeah.
We'll bend.
Yep. Yeah. Overall, though, I think it was a pretty good Runefest.
Yeah, it was good. Should we move on to the last part to talk about?
Yeah.
Some drama happened at Runefest?
Yeah.
Are you well versed in this one?
A bit. It's weird. It's all like, a lot of it's Twitter based, but yeah, I got the gist of it.
Okay, you want to give us the rundown? Because I've been trying to keep up, but busy personal life.
So,
and yeah, apparently, and I wasn't even there. So apparently, some streamer drama, Twitter drama.
If you don't care about this, it's kind of it's whatever. You can just skip like 10 minutes or something. But there was a RuneScape streamer who, his name was Grosgore, who, he doesn't stream RuneScape anymore. He does like League of Legends and like IRL, and it doesn't matter.
Okay.
But he always attends RuneFest, and he's like he's pretty incel-y. When I say that, I mean like he's very negative towards like women. And entitled, kind of.
He's a nice guy.
I mean, he was permabanned on Twitch for a while because he flew a girl out to go to like a League of Legends event.
Yeah.
And she didn't bang him. So he freaked the fuck out and then did a bunch of other shit and they got banned off Twitch.
Okay.
So that gives you an idea of like how he kind of is. Just a really loud, obnoxious British person. I assume that's half of you guys listening right now. No, I'm kidding. But I don't know. Apparently at RuneFest, he was just like being like, he was kind of like quote unquote sexually harassing a girl or some women.
Some women.
Like,
I guess a girl and some women are the same thing. How many are going to RuneFest? Those poor
the
ladies.
only woman to go to Runefest. He was like,
My God.
supposedly commenting on like how hot she is, how nice her titties are,
Oh,
you know,
boy.
normal things that everyone does, right,
Yeah,
guys?
just everyday normal comments.
Yeah, and he was like being overtly sexual with her and like constantly just saying how nice those rutabagas are. What do you call them? What do you call them? Sloppy floppers?
Oh yeah, floppy sloppers.
Yeah. The big nars. And so she got uncomfortable, you know, told him to stop. And then he went and gathered all of his friends around her, and they all were like commenting on her body and
jeez.
whatever, and just kind of like sexually harassing her. So she got really upset and left. And then the old Dead Man Mode commentator, Skidler,
Yeah.
found out about it, and he was like really close with her. So he confronts this Grow Score fella outside and was like, "What the fuck, man?
You want to fight?"
And Grow Score, you know, screams at him, calls him a white knight, all that stuff. And then a fight broke out between like Grow Score's friends and like Skidler, and I don't know if his friends were involved, but there was like a fight that broke out.
A rune brawl happened.
Yeah, very sweaty, horrible punches because everyone's already sweaty and like slippery. No punch really is connecting, right? They're
No
just
wrist
sliding.
control. But you
Yeah.
do all that clicking.
Everyone like tucks their thumb in,
Ooh.
breaking their thumb, you know, just
A lot of
horrible,
broken thumbs.
slapping wrists at each other pretty much. And then the police and like Paul Foe, the streamer Foe, break
Right.
it up.
Huh.
Yeah, apparently everyone was like, yeah, Foe got in there and was like, you gotta stop it. Be friends.
Wow.
But it was a big thing. Jagex made like a comment on
Yeah.
the incident.
We'll talk about that in a minute, but of course, something's going to happen at Runefest, I guess. Is that expected?
Kind of.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying that as in all the drama that happens for everything in game.
Well, like I
You
said,
get them all together in one building.
like I said last episode, the little amount of testosterone, it's like a purge for everyone. So like all the incels are just like, there's a girl! You're the reason for all my fault. You know what I mean?
I feel so bad for those ladies because you know they're dealing with that all weekend. You know that they probably got dragged along by their boyfriend and they're like, okay, I'll just come and hang out. And then the whole time they go to the bar and like, oh, the bar's empty. I walk to the bar. Now it's full.
Yeah. Like, why is this bad smell coming into every room 5 minutes after? Is that me? And then you just kind of like look behind you and
There's
like,
a horde. No one's watching the
Yeah.
old school RuneScape reveals.
it's like in like Harry Potter, is it? Where like I don't know what movie. I'm not big into Harry Potter, but when it's like Ron and like Harry and Hermione like go into a room and they're like looking around and then like the big thing of saliva like hits one of their like outfits and then they look up and there's the Cerberus. Yeah. It's kind of like that. Or like the bathroom scene with the troll. You can just relate all this to Harry Potter. I don't know why I'm trying to do that. I don't
remember that part.
Oh. When they fight him, it's like the first or second one they fight like a troll in the
I've
bathroom.
been meaning to go back and watch those movies. I heard they hold up.
Yeah. Don't we got some more jokes we can start rifling through. Don't worry. But no, but it's weird because I kind of expected this to happen. I hate to say it, but I feel like at gaming events and stuff like this type of stuff like happens quite a bit. And I don't know what would be worse, being like a woman that gets hit on like quite a bit, or being like having guys hit on you a lot, or having guys come in and try to like, come with me, babe, I'll keep you safe. But it's like the eighth guy to try and do that, and in the end they're just like trying to bang you still, but you know what I mean? They're trying to like pull you away from those 8 sweaty nerds. You just realize he's a little less sweaty. You know?
You're just danger at every corner.
He's still fat and sweaty, but at least he showered 2 days ago as opposed to last week.
A lot of the Axe body spray.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I guess, do you want to just talk about Jagex's?
Yeah, they made a comment, so...
You guys discuss me. Runefest is shut down. No.
Yeah, Runefest is done. We're hiring strippers so you can get your outlet out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they said, with almost 2,000 people attending Runefest this year, we thank everyone for making it a very special event in the RuneScape calendar. However, after Runefest had finished, we were made aware of allegations concerning a small number of content creators. While the alleged incidents did not take place at the Runefest venue or within its opening hours, the safety and well-being of those in it and around our events is a paramount importance to us. Having reviewed the allegations, we have found that the content creators concerned did breach our code of conduct. We do not tolerate inappropriate or offensive behavior in any way, and while we had a limited working relationship with some of the individuals, we will not be working with them or allowing them to attend future Jagex events going forward. As we look towards 2019, we will strive to keep the future Runefests and all Jagex events safe spaces where attendees can continue to enjoy the inclusiveness and positivity that comes from being a part of the RuneScape community.
The Runefest team.
Safe space? I don't like the sound of that at all.
It's stupid. Fucking special snowflake cucks.
But apparently you made it aware to me that there was some more drama that continued on.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
So when they do mention that there was multiple content creators, so it could be that like Skidler and like everyone that was involved in like the fighting itself got in trouble, but there also has been more like sexual allegations towards another content creator and he kind of admitted it. He just recorded his audio of him admitting it. It's weird. God damn it. So
good old RuneScape content.
Yeah. I really don't feel like it's worth talking about, but might as well just like briefly talk about it, even though it's shitty. So there is another content creator named Graphist, aka Black. He was, I think I mentioned him before. At one point he was like rank 1 bounty hunter. He used to stream a lot of like Obby Mall, PKing and stuff like that.
Oh, he's the one that got you into it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, into the PKing, not into what we're about to talk about. I guess there's like evidence and a lot of stuff about him sexually assaulting women to the point where people call him Twitch Cosby now.
Oh, God.
Yeah, just getting girls super drunk and then doing stuff. And
all right.
So the weird thing is that he used to live with 2 other RuneScape creators, Hyphonix and Alfie. Everyone knows Alfie. You like to describe him as someone who's constantly out of breath.
Okay, yeah.
That's Alfie. Oh my god! Like, I can't do a good impression. You do a better one. But, yeah, him. And then Hyphonix is known for being 30 bill in debt.
Oh, okay.
And then eating Yu-Gi-Oh cards for money.
Oh, jeez.
Love the guy. Good. So fun to watch. But
they weren't good Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
They lived with them for a bit. They don't live with them anymore, obviously, after like all this. And
so this is what made the falling out happen.
This is like what yeah. So one of the people that Graphist / Black sexually assaulted was Alfie's ex-girlfriend. I don't know if they were dating at the time, but he was dating her for a while, and
regardless,
I don't know. She is like a streamer, and I don't know what her name is. I forget what it is, but I don't even. Yeah, I don't know.
Unnamed female.
Yeah, he like he admits to sexually assaulting some people.
Jesus.
And then like Hyphonix had a stream as well where he talked about like all the weird shit he would do.
Huh.
Like apparently he would constantly try and walk in on him and his girlfriend having sex, and then he like asked to watch one time, and he would try and stay. Worst roommate
ever.
Yeah, a lot of weird stuff. RuneScapers are pretty fucking weird.
We seem to like pull all the normal guys into our clan chat.
Yeah, thankfully, yeah.
It's a safe space for the normal dudes.
Yeah,
the ones who just have like kids and have a full-time job and stuff.
Just kind of why I didn't really want to bring this up, but because I don't know, it's just weird.
It's definitely,
this
bizarre.
This type of stuff happens a lot in like
in life,
life, but
unfortunately,
like in like the esports community, where like people in like air quotes position of power, or like they're not celebrities, but they're like within that community they are. There's like a phrase for it. So like you would never really say Bodhi's a celebrity because the average person has no idea who he is. But in the RuneScape community, everyone knows who Bodhi is. Well, almost. And there's like, I forget what the term is, but there's whatever that is. In a lot of like esports communities, like StarCraft and like, I know League of Legends had a problem with this, where people that are like well known within that game or community, kind of abuse that power.
Okay.
So it's not like just a RuneScape specific thing.
I don't think it's just particularly for like video games either. You see that in YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube as well.
I've heard a bunch of stories of some YouTuber that I've never even heard of who ends up going to jail because he was making his younger viewer base sending him some pretty bad videos.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And he was doing that as a position of power because they were his fans. And, he goes to jail because
So it's illegal.
It's very illegal.
It's pretty fucked up.
It's illegal in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
Now, this happened at Runefest?
So the gross core stuff happened at Runefest, and then the allegations against this guy, well, he was also known, like, Gravis people have been saying that, like, he would kind of, like, stalk certain women at Runefest in, like, an incel-y type way, not like, yeah, and just like, I say incel, but, like, it's just like I don't know a better word to use, but like that just weird, creepy, lonely dude that desperate, yeah, like just like a horny type thing, just kind of following women,
a creep, right?
waiting to get his, waiting to Twitch Cosby them, I guess,
Jesus Christ,
I don't know, but yeah, so see you next week.
Yeah, bring in the Me Too movement to RuneScape.
Yeah.
Okay, well, very, very eventful Runefest, apparently.
Yeah. I do want to try to go to the next Runefest.
Yeah.
It's a really bad time to bring that up, but I do feel like
we've been talking about
this is a really bad time to segue, or this is a horrible way to segue this, but I want to say I feel like I missed out on a lot of Runefest stuff.
Yeah, insert that part before the whole drama.
Yeah. Maybe, it's a lot of editing to do.
No,
but just mentally, maybe hopefully someone just skipped 10 minutes and like they're like, okay.
At the same time, you see people fighting right outside the doors. You peek your head out. What's going on out here? Is there a fight going on?
Yeah.
On your phone, maybe some good.
Dude, we're on site. Oh. Wild Boys live in action. How do you feel about this?
World Star, Wild Boys. Christ Almighty. Well, anyways, yeah, I am looking forward to Runefest next year as well. I mean, I should say looking forward, but I would love to attend it for more RuneScape-related things, of course.
Yep.
Maybe we can get like a meetup going. Maybe people can start saving up. We got a whole year in front of us.
Yep.
Take your vacation time. We can all meet up and like find someone who lives close by and camp in their backyard.
Yeah. Runestock?
Runestock?
I was going to say Runefest, but that name's already taken. Didn't really think that one through. But, yeah, Runestock. Wildstock. Wildfest.
We have our own Wildfest.
Let's make our own Runefest. Wildfest.
Yeah, it'll be in someone's backyard. And we'll be
come to Ontario.
Yeah, we'll just drink beer in the basement and play RuneScape on our shitty internet.
January. It's going to be cold out.
Yeah.
It's going to be so goddamn cold out.
The heater's not working.
It's going to be a dog that's really excited. There's like a lot of people around.
Too excited. Yeah,
I don't know. I'm going to start, planning for this Runefest, because I'd love to go. It'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, and it would be really cool to see if we can meet up with some of the friends that we
I just want to, go to Jagex HQ and Upper Deck or under their toilets. That's honestly...
Jed's gone, and you still...
Well, so when Jed was there, I wanted to do it on their front door, but if you Upper Decker, that's the gift keeps on giving, A week from that, they're like, what's going on with this toilet?
Yeah. Anyways.
Who's dumping their coffee out in this toilet? Anyways.
Before we wrap this bad boy up, the second parter, RuneScape 3 launched their mobile client.
Yeah.
And I've seen some pictures. Looks good.
Considering how bad I thought the UI was, honestly, I feel like the UI, the way they manage their UI, way better than how Old School does it. Because
I kind of agree.
If you don't know, with RuneScape, Old School, you just have the one main window, I want to call it, where you have the inventory that you can change and anything else, right? You have that one section of UI dedicated to whatever quests, combat style. But with RS3, they have the inventory setup and all that good stuff. They have another one with if you're high level PVM and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
You go watch people killing bosses and stuff on the streams. They have their inventory. They have their summoning thing open. They have their inventory up. They have their skill hotbar up.
Yeah, and it's you have 2 places for your thumb, and there's 3 on each side.
Yeah,
3 or 4.
And it's nice because there's a lot of micromanaging of the UI. If you know what I mean, going in between the UIs in RS3 with the combat and just stuff like that. And like looking at it on RS3, it seems very manageable and like just clean. Like you can tailor it to however you want to play during that session.
So when they first released it, I believe it was 10,000 downloads were free.
Okay.
They closed up pretty fast. I know some people in the clan chat had it because they've been sending me pictures.
Yep.
But they will be opening up more. And I'll be honest, kind of want to try it.
Yep.
You know, I am interested in the bossing and some of the aspects of RuneScape 3. And the mobile client looks pretty damn good.
Yep.
I'm impressed.
I want to know the data usage and the power usage, though.
Ooh, the power usage, that's where it's going to come.
Yeah.
Drain that battery out. And I guess that's pretty much it to talk about for Runefest. I mean, I could mention something about RuneScape 3 that was brought to my attention like 2 weeks ago that I wanted to talk about, but it just kind of slipped my mind. Interested?
Yeah.
So they released their own animal husbandry under the farming skill. I kind of like it.
How does it work, though? Milk some cows, get some eggs.
And so, okay, this is a very basic description of it because I got it all from another person. Someone else who plays RuneScape 3 was telling me about it.
Okay.
So I'm not going to be getting everything completely correct, but I'll give you the basic idea. There's certain animals you can have, let's say sheep. Let's use sheep because that's one of them. You can get a male and a female, and they have certain characteristic traits.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a bunch of different traits. Some of them I don't think have any purpose right yet, but some do. There's ones that make them... So the two animals you have, let's say you have a male and a female, they can mate, and they can have a baby.
Gross, but okay.
Yeah, a little sexual.
Yeah, Rule 34.
Keeping in theme,
Yep.
yes. And they can... So you can have a baby sheep, which can have its own traits. And I don't know if it's like... Probably takes a bit from the two of them.
Yep.
But some of them, I believe, will help with the wool production. Some of them might help with the growth, and some of them will make them mate more often.
Libido a trait? That'd be kind of weird.
And then there's some like rare traits they can have, which I believe they have like a chaotic trait, and maybe just makes them have a chaotic mindset.
Maybe they just make chaotic rapiers.
Yeah. But anyways, there's an achievement linked with it where it's like you have to get a chicken that has the chaotic trait. But anyways, you can sell these animals, and depending on what their traits are, they can be worth a lot.
Okay.
But so there's tons more traits than just that, and they actually have some uses. Like I know cows have like a chocolate or strawberry trait where you can make chocolate or strawberry milk.
Pretty cool.
So that's their animal husbandry. And there's a bunch of different animals and all that stuff. And like I said, I haven't tried it firsthand. My information's coming from somebody else. Mm-hmm. But what do you think? I kind of like that idea.
Yeah,
I love having like you get a new animal from the two. They have sex. You get the product of it. And the traits are like random. Like it's kind of cool to say like, oh man, I got the victorious trait, which makes it, I don't know.
Win.
It makes it win. It's just
Charlie Sheen memes. That's an old one.
It's going back Tiger's Blood.
Yeah.
But anyways, I figured why not we mentioned that one.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I would feel very uncomfortable selling a goat or something that had a high libido. Yeah. That'd be kind of weird.
Yeah, well, someone might want it though.
Yeah.
Anyways, though, that's all the good stuff that happened this week. Should we close it on up?
Yeah. So I think it's the end of part 2 then?
End of part 2, we'll go to the Grand Exchange. This is just an excuse to have more ads, isn't it?
Yeah. Sponsored by our new sponsor, Chalk.com.
Order...
They have the best soapstones.
Well, you can spend $30 right now, you get a free trial, and they'll drop a ton of chalk on your driveway.
Like a brick.
A giant brick, and it does it once a month. You can do whatever you want with it.
Yeah. Let it rain on it and just watch it dissolve.
Mm-hmm. Anyways, our sponsor is Audible. If you would like to try a free month of Audible, go to audibletrial.com/wild. You get a free month, and you get a free ebook. Lots of good books out there. It's audibletrial.com/wild. But we also brought to you by Patreon, our Patreon supporters. And our supporter of the week, our supporter of the episode, I should say, is Dean Humphreys. So thank you very much for supporting the show and allowing us to do what we do. So again, thank you for supporting us and supporting the show, and thank you to everyone else who does support the show as well. We cannot thank you guys enough, and thank you to everyone who just listens and supports us with kind words. Those are also very much appreciated. Makes my day every time I read them. Anyways, swinging on to what we got going on, we have 2 events kind of in the works right now. One of them is coming up very, very soon. It's not our event, actually. This one is done by our friend of the clan chat. You will recognize his name as Bhooleys. He has made a Dragon Longsword and is having a raffle slash kind of mini game for it. So get in contact with him to get your name entered in as well. And October 20th is when he will be figuring out who is the winner of the Dragon Longsword. It looks really good. He has the plaque finish. It has it hanging. It looks very awesome. And he'll also be doing a snowball event. So if you don't know what that is, everyone's going to be hanging out. Probably clan wars, depending on the level differences. But we'll all be busting out some of that wizard robes, shooting some wind strikes on each other. And the winner will probably be winning a reward. But that one's more for fun. Yeah, kind of excited for that one as well. But we also got a Connect 4 tournament coming up in a month or so. I haven't got the date figured out, but this week I will be figuring out what date we will be doing it. We will open up the sign-ins where you can sign up to compete for Connect 4. It will be a classic tournament, 1v1s, winner moves on to the next one, and there will be some monetary prizes at the end. So if you're an Iron Man, you can also win because there will be a bond prize, minimum of 1 bond. Like I said, we're still ironing out all the details and rewards. But if you're an Iron Man and you win, well, you get some free in-game time instead. So keep your eyes out on Discord and Twitter and Facebook to know when we're going to open up the signups. And all you have to do is probably just send in your username. Let us know what username, we can enter it in, and it will pair you up with another person, and you can figure out who you will be facing. I would love to be able to stream it, so maybe if you can't join or you don't want to join but you would like to watch it still, then hopefully you can do it then. Or maybe if you don't want to join as well, you can just show up and hang out. But it's going to be pretty fun. You're going to have myself reffing, so I can kind of see who's winning. Deegan, if you are free, will be also reffing. Yeah, that should be a lot of fun. So that'll be happening in November. Forgot to mention, though, PVP tournament will be, I believe it's November 20th. So it will be happening probably before then. But before we move on to all of our juicy bits of information on how you can get in touch with us and keep your eye out for the contests, Panny Drop 1 sent us an email. And he says, first off, I've been listening to your podcast since around 70-ish, and it's been great since I work a pretty hectic job. Plus, I have a family, so it's hard enough time to escape, sadly. Listening to the show enables me to keep up to date, etc., and keep the love alive. Happy face. Anyways, I've been listening from episode 1 recently and enjoying this a lot. It's cool to hear you guys discuss which are now commonplace in RuneScape and your views when they were but a concept. But the one thing that made me email you was your early Iron Man segment. It really made me look forward to the end of the show to hear your stories. Now I enjoy all the podcasts from beginning to the end. However, for me, I prefer the rambling at the beginning around what you guys did in the week. The Iron Man segment was more of this again at the end, if that makes sense. Bottom line, it would be great to bring this back for a few weeks or even one task a month, since it is clearly a time investment. So that's something that we hear a lot about, isn't it? The Iron Man segment. It was a lot of fun. I mean, that was a cool, unique idea, and I did enjoy doing it.
I mean, I had my Iron Man account set up in a pretty dope spot, and then we stopped playing him.
Yeah, just because I got busy with work and with other things. So we do talk from time to time. If you listen back, you're going to hear us talk like this a lot. But this is something I would love to bring back. It was pretty fun. We got to figure out a way so it's not super heavy that like we feel committed to play, because 5 hours isn't a lot of time over a week. But depending on how your week is, like for instance, if it was last week and we were doing it,
probably wouldn't have been done.
Wouldn't have been done at all. I would have just lost that tournament.
Yeah.
But looking forward now I'm living the bachelor lifestyle, kind of clears some time.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we can start looking at actually bringing this back. But maybe send us some suggestions on maybe some ideas. We're going to use the classic Jagex quote of, send us your suggestions.
Yep.
But ways that we can do this, preferably on a week-to-week basis, without it being like a crazy time crunch. Because right now, we might have a week where we're free and we can bust out 5 hours of RuneScape throughout the week. But, maybe as time goes on, we might find it like kind of difficult to sit down, right?
Well, yeah, the issue isn't 5 hours. It's that like, if I I'd rather get 5 hours on my main, talk about that progress than the Iron Man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, sometimes you don't want to... Yeah, exactly.
Even though you, like, when we did it, I would do something AFK on my main, but, like, I had all these... Like, the last one we did, spoilers, I guess you're going back from the last one was, like, the biggest, most expensive stack of items or something.
Something like that. I think, no, it was something very AFK, so I think it was, like...
Well, you took the AFK approach. I went and unlocked the chests that you get through the Ham quest line. And then I got the jewelry, and I just sat there and I just like thieved jewels out or like ruby amulets and stuff out of a chest to sell later on for money.
Yeah, okay. And I'll be honest, I can't find the notebook now, but I had all these ideas for different restrictions that we had with a goal.
Yep.
So if you guys, maybe, you know what, since we haven't done them in a while, I'll tell you some of the ideas that I had, because if we do bring them out, I do want to bring them out because I had so many cool ideas. We had a week where you could only play using your left hand, using the mouse on your left hand.
Okay.
Another idea was your only method of transportation was following somebody else, but you couldn't use friends or your other accounts.
Yeah.
So you'd have to like sit there and wait for someone to walk by, and hopefully he's going to bring you to like Falador or something.
Or you're like trying to get to Horvik, so you're just like right-clicking, following on everyone trying to get there, and someone's like, where's Horvik? Can you take me there? Follow him.
Basically, maybe you have to coerce people into bringing you somewhere. And yeah, it was cool and then the idea was every 5th episode, we have to spend it in the wilderness. But on the 10th episode, we have to fight each other. And the loser loses their gear. So.
Oh, you'd have been fucked up. I had like rune full helmet, rune chain body and shit.
I had a wizard robe gold.
Yeah.
Anyways, so that's, give us some suggestions on what you think would be a good idea so that we could go through it each week. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Maybe we just reduce the hours to like 1 hour some weeks. Which
I don't know. I don't know if it's worth it, to be honest. What'd you do? So the follow, okay, I had an hour to do following, and what I would do is I would log in and out during like prime time. I'd observe the peak player counts.
Your main scouting out worlds.
Yeah.
That's funny. Anyways, thank you very much for that email. We really appreciate it. And we did get 2 in-game questions, which we're going to leave for next episode, which is coming out a couple days probably.
Yeah.
This has been a crazy week.
After this episode, it should all be back to normal.
Ideally.
We have it all planned so we can record on our normal day.
Yeah. We're going to be recording on our normal day as usual. The problem is editing these episodes. Hopefully they all fall in line. Yeah. I'm not editing one while I have one banked.
Yeah.
Anyways, come hang out with us in game at WildCC. Our Twitter is at TheWildernessRS. Our Facebook is facebook.com/TheWildernessPodcast. I recently got a Facebook group as per requested from a user, which was a great idea because the Facebook group is so much better than a Facebook page. So you can find that linked on the page. And our email is thewildernesspodcast@gmail.com. And we have a Discord pinned on Facebook and Twitter. But if you have a problem getting in, let us know. We will get you in there. You can come and hang out. And Deegan, you got your good old stuff?
Twitch, Twitter, DeeganRS.
Perfect. And if you want to follow my Twitch, I don't do anything. I did a test run stream once, but it sounded as awful. It's The Dills. So we might be streaming on that. I might try to make a Wilderness Podcast Twitch channel, stream off there, get a little promotion going.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, that is about it. So yeah, thank you for listening. Our song of the week, sent in by Antoine, and he requests the song Garden. So cool. Thank you for sending your song request.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you everyone for listening to the first ever part 2 of an episode.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yep, perfect. And thanks for bearing in with this one hell of a week, but we should be back on track for next one.
Yep.
All right, guys. Thanks. I appreciate it, and I love you all until probably 2 days from now.
Yeah. Until, a few days from now.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Yeah, have a good one.